Liam Hartley wasn't a suspicious man. A senior technician for a satellite communications company, he'd spent most of his adult life solving technical problems, not personal ones. Quiet, observant, and patient, he believed trust was a cornerstone of any good relationship. That's how it had been with his wife, Natalie. They had met in college. She was bold and vivacious, an aspiring photographer who believed every moment could be captured into something beautiful. He, more grounded, loved that about her. Their chemistry had been magnetic, but beauty can become camouflage. And some stories are told best in silence, like the ones that played out on a phone screen, when no one was watching. It started on a Tuesday. Liam had come home early from work after a client meeting got canceled. The sun was still hanging low in the sky, casting a warm amber hue across the living room. Natalie wasn't expecting him. He could hear her in the bedroom, talking softly, the familiar rise and fall of her voice punctuated by laughter. He paused, frowning. She rarely laughed like that with him anymore. He moved quietly through the hallway and stopped just outside the slightly ajar door of their bedroom. Through the gap, he saw her lying on the bed in nothing but a silk robe, legs crossed, her phone held up at just the right angle. Then came the click, the sound of a shutter, and then another. She was taking selfies. Sultry, provocative ones, her robe falling just enough to reveal what should have been his alone. Liam's heart sank as she typed quickly, sent something, then giggled at the reply she received. He didn't say a word. That night, he didn't confront her. He slept beside her, staring at the ceiling while she rested peacefully, her breath steady and unbothered. He told himself it might have been innocent. Maybe she was joking. Maybe, but in his gut he knew. The next day, when she left to meet a friend for coffee, Liam stayed behind, claiming he wasn't feeling well. He opened her laptop. She had left it logged in. A wave of guilt passed through him as he navigated to her messages, but evaporated the moment he saw her recent chats. There he was, the boyfriend. His name was Marcus, a fitness instructor she had met at her gym 6 months ago. Their messages were filled with intimate photos, flirtation, and deeply personal confessions. She spoke about Liam like he was a stranger she was forced to live with, boring, predictable, distant. "She never said those things to me," he whispered to himself, rereading one particular message. "I feel alive with you. Liam is just there." He sat there for hours, going further back, realizing that the affair wasn't new. It was consistent, deliberate, months of deception, dozens of images, explicit ones, hotel bookings, canceled dinner plans that now made sense, excuses that in hindsight were flimsy, but he hadn't wanted to see. The next evening, Liam made dinner. Natalie came home, smiling as if nothing in the world was wrong, kissed him on the cheek like it meant something, and sat across from him at the table. She didn't notice how intently he watched her, how hollow his eyes had become. She chatted about her day. Ashley said the funniest thing, and "I'm thinking of trying a new lens for the camera," never realizing that her world was crumbling silently beside her. "I found your messages," he said quietly. Her fork clinked against the plate. She froze. He didn't yell. He didn't accuse. Just stared, letting the words hang like fog between them. Natalie blinked. "Liam, it's not what you think." But the excuses she'd rehearsed, the spin she thought she could use, fell flat in the face of someone who wasn't reacting the way she expected. There was no anger, just sorrow. The kind of sorrow that speaks of finality. "How long?" he asked. She didn't answer. "I want the truth. Not for us. Just for me." Natalie lowered her eyes. "Since February. 5 months. 5 months of lies while she came home and slipped into his bed, hugged him from behind while he made coffee, smiled at him across crowded rooms. 5 months of pretending." Liam didn't throw her out that night. He packed a bag and left. For the first few weeks, he stayed at his brother's place, unsure what he felt. He told no one, not even his closest friends. Not yet. Natalie sent messages, first apologetic, then defensive, then tearful, claiming it was a mistake, that Marcus didn't mean anything, that she was confused. But Liam wasn't. Not anymore. He met with a divorce attorney, and something shifted, not just because she cheated, but because she chose to over and over, with the ease of someone who believed she would never be caught, with the arrogance of someone who thought the man she married would always be too trusting to look behind the curtain. But he did. Months later, after the papers were signed, Liam stood outside the gallery where Natalie was exhibiting her photography. He hadn't planned on coming. He just needed to see her one last time. Inside, she moved among the guests, the charming, vibrant woman she had always been in public. There were new photos on display. Stark, beautiful, haunting images of urban decay, abandoned buildings, empty things. Liam stared at one titled Uninhabited. It was a photograph of a ruined house. Once whole, now crumbling. Ivy overtaking the bricks. A shattered window, catching the last bit of light. Natalie came over, surprised to see him. "You came." "I did. I wasn't sure you'd want to." "I didn't. Not really. But I needed to say thank you." She blinked. "For what?" "For reminding me that love isn't about holding on when someone's already let go." He walked away, never looking back. In the end, the worst betrayals aren't the ones screamed across rooms or discovered in sudden shocks. They're the quiet ones. The ones that seep in slowly, like rot behind painted walls. Liam healed. Not quickly, not easily, but day by day he rebuilt. Himself, his trust, his peace. And Natalie? She kept taking pictures. But some parts of her would always be out of focus. 2 weeks after the gallery, Liam found himself waking before dawn. No alarm, no reason, just habit. The bed beside him was cold, as it had been for months now, but the emptiness no longer startled him. It was a kind of quiet freedom. He made his way to the kitchen, made coffee, and sat on the balcony of his new apartment overlooking the city skyline. But healing wasn't linear. It never is. One morning, while scrolling through his inbox looking for a confirmation from a moving company, he stumbled across an old email thread. One from Natalie. The subject: "Look at this one, it's my favorite." He hadn't deleted them. He wasn't sure why. The photo in that email showed her standing on a pier at dawn, the sea behind her. She was laughing, caught mid-motion, hair wild from the breeze, cheeks pink from the cold. Liam had taken that picture. He remembered the exact moment. They had just gotten engaged. He should have deleted it. Instead, he sat there with his cursor hovering over the trash icon. And then, curiosity cracked him open again. He checked a folder he hadn't dared to open since the day he left. Shared album. Us. Dozens of photos. Moments captured. Their entire marriage reduced to digital fragments. Birthdays, road trips, nights at home with wine and movies. He scrolled through them, not out of nostalgia, but to understand how much of it had been real. In some of the photos, Natalie's smile seemed strained now in hindsight. In others, she looked at him with what he had once believed was genuine love. But the timeline haunted him. He found an image taken 2 weeks before he caught her leaning on him, arms around his neck, a kiss on his cheek. And at the same time, he knew she had already sent Marcus 3 topless photos that same day. The betrayal wasn't just in what she did. It was in how easily she did it, how naturally she switched masks. Natalie never gave a real apology. Not the kind Liam needed. Not the kind that admits guilt. Not one that holds space for the pain. Her texts became increasingly erratic. One day she was sorry. The next, she blamed him. "You were too distant. I didn't feel wanted anymore. You stopped looking at me like I mattered." Each one felt like a slap. She wanted him to accept responsibility for her decisions, as if cheating, lying, sending intimate photos to another man could be balanced on a scale of marital boredom. But Liam had been there. He had cooked her dinners, brought her flowers without occasion, booked a surprise weekend getaway last year she canceled last minute because she was tired. He'd supported her passion projects even when the money got tight. He had always believed in them. Natalie, it turned out, only believed in what made her feel alive in the moment. Out of curiosity, or maybe something darker, Liam looked Marcus up. He found him easily. Public Instagram. Shirtless photos, flexing in mirrors. Beach poses with captions like, "Earn your respect. Build your body." Liam almost laughed, not out of jealousy, but incredulity. This was the man Natalie had wrecked their marriage for? A man who posted thirst traps and motivational quotes like he was auditioning for a protein powder ad? A few clicks later, he found what he wasn't looking for. Marcus had moved on. New girlfriend. A blonde named Kylie. Younger. Posing together at a music festival, at the gym, at brunch with a caption. Leveling up every day with this queen. It hit Liam like a gut punch. Not because he cared about Marcus, but because it proved something deeper. Natalie had destroyed their marriage for nothing lasting. She wasn't with Marcus now. She had blown up her life for a man who never saw her as more than a temporary thrill. Liam finally responded to one of her messages. Just one. You lied to me for months. You chose to look me in the eyes every day and pretend. That's not a mistake. That's a pattern. I loved you. I would have forgiven a single moment of weakness, but not a long-term performance of loyalty while building another life behind my back. I hope you figure yourself out before you do to someone else what you did to me. Natalie never replied, and in a way, that silence was a closure he needed, because the person who hurts you rarely has the language or the integrity to heal you. 6 months later, Liam stood at a photography exhibit, not Natalie's. This one belonged to a woman named Tessa, a friend he met at a small dinner gathering. She was also a photographer, but her work was different, raw, honest, nothing curated or staged. She had asked Liam to come see it. As he walked to the gallery, he paused in front of a photo of cracked pavement overgrown with flowers. Tessa appeared beside him, sipping wine. You like it? She asked. I do, he said. It reminds me of something. What? That even broken places can bloom again. She smiled, the kind that didn't hide anything behind it. Exactly. For the first time in a long while, Liam didn't feel haunted. He didn't feel like half of something. He just stood there, whole. Natalie had been a chapter, but he was the author. And the next pages were finally his to write. 6 months turned into a year. Liam no longer thought about Natalie every day. The rage had dulled into a quiet memory, like a scar that didn't hurt anymore, just reminded him to be careful where he placed his trust. He had built a life that wasn't about forgetting the past, but learning from it. He finished decorating his apartment with his own photographs, something he used to think only Natalie was good at. Landscapes, city lights, morning stillness. He found peace in capturing things that didn't lie. Tessa became a friend, then a companion, then something more, slowly, honestly, without pretense. She never asked for more than he could give, and he never rushed into what wasn't ready. One evening, they walked together along a quiet street after one of her shows. The wind was light, the stars sharp and brilliant overhead. You seem lighter lately, she said, glancing up at him. Liam nodded. I let go of something heavy. Her, the version of me who needed her. They stopped at a street corner. Tessa slipped her hand into his. Not possessively, not urgently, just gently. I like the version standing here, she said. Liam smiled. He meant to say something poetic, something meaningful. But all he could do was squeeze her hand and whisper, Me too. And that was enough. As they walked on, the city behind them and the future still unwritten ahead, Liam knew. The betrayal hadn't broken him. It had revealed him. Strength didn't come from clinging to someone who shattered trust. It came from walking away and building piece from the pieces. The chapter of Natalie was over, and what came next was entirely his.